Spirit Sports Consultants presents
Our guide to the 2023 New Year's Six bowl games. We've obviously got 6 games, 4 games, and then you got the 2 semifinal games, so the national championship games. So a total of 7. We're only going to do the 6. Talking about the Fiesta Bowl, we got Liberty and Oregon. Ole Miss and Penn State are in the Peach Bowl. We think that's going to be a great game. The Orange Bowl, FSU, many people think they got snubbed. Should have been the playoff. We unfortunately don't believe that due to the fact that they lost Jordan Travis and of their former self. I think Georgia will control that game. And then the Cotton Bowl should be a really good one because half of Ohio State's team's not playing, going against a very hungry Missouri Tiger team. Let's take a look at the individual games here. For bowl games, you got to look at 2 factors a little differently than you would during the regular season. The first is motivation. What team is playing for something? Pride, maybe it's a bowl game, a significant game that the program has never been to. Teams like Ole Miss, FSU playing off that being snubbed for the playoff. Then you have to look at which teams have the healthiest rosters. How many teams have got people that have gone in the transfer portal? Ohio State this season is one of the worst. You got McCord transferring, the starting quarterback, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. appears to be injured. Other teams like Penn State, they've got most of their players playing. So these are 2 factors we use in our analysis. Those are for the New Year's Six games, not the semifinals, because you got to view those as true, view those with the averages. Every team should be motivated for those. Let's start with Fiesta Bowl, looking at Liberty overachieving this year, going against Oregon with that disappointing finish in the Pac-12 championship game. We felt that Bo Nix underachieved in that game, and we see why he's playing here. Even though he was a Heisman candidate, probably going to go in the NFL, we think he needs to come back and have a strong game here. We also believe Liberty is going to put out their best game. This is effectively their championship game, right? Best opportunity they've had probably in program history. Assuming everyone plays, we think Oregon rolls here 48-24. Looking at the betting odds, there's been some movement. It started out Oregon minus 13.5 to 14. Now we've got all the way up to 17. But we're going to recommend 60.5. If you've seen the split, you can get it 60.5. Because even though Oregon doesn't have much to play for, Bo Nix is effectively auditioning for the NFL with the draft coming up. So take the Ducks here. Cotton Bowl features Ohio State and Missouri. And the big question we have is who's playing for Ohio State? Looks like Devin Brown's going to start. Let's not overlook this Missouri team. I know a lot of times the SEC tends to be overrated. We watched a lot of Missouri's games this year. They are legitimately a good team. So we think with Ohio State not being what they once were, this is not C.J. Stroud's team, losing the quarterback, going to have that sophomore starting. They're favored here by 3. We think that's because of the name. We think Missouri is the better team. We take that 3.5 point line, maybe even take Missouri money line straight up to win. Florida State faces Georgia in the Capital One Orange Bowl, their consolation prize for not getting into the playoff. We think this game's going to be closer than people think. We think Georgia will win this. They just have too much talent on both sides of the ball. But let's not forget, despite the injury to Jordan Travis, the Florida State dominant factor was their defense. So we think they can hold Georgia to fewer points than they normally get, fewer points than their average. And then if you look at the line, it's bounced all the way from 13 to 19 for Georgia. So we really think with a motivated FSU team, a little tweak for not making the playoff, we think get that line up to 20.5, cover that key number. We think Florida State's going to be the play here. Penn State and Ole Miss face off in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia. And this one we've struggled with because whenever we watch Penn State, we know that they're good. We always seem to watch them play Michigan, watch them play Ohio State, and they never end up winning those. Similarly with Ole Miss, they struggle against the SEC West, one of the best divisions, if not the best division in all of college football. They struggle. We think Lane Kiffin's offense is going to be enough here to overcome James Franklin and that dynamic Penn State defense. We think Penn State has the name. They've got the reputation. More fans, we think that's why they're favored. The line moves from 4 to 4.5. We like Ole Miss here, plus 5.5. You can get it. We think there's value there in Ole Miss, so take them on that one. And now we've made it to the 2023 semifinal games. We've got Texas facing off against Washington. Then we got Michigan, Alabama, with apologies to FSU. We think this is a great playoff Final Four. We will start with the nightcap, Washington versus Texas. These teams are very evenly matched. We do have a little bit of bias. I am from Texas, but I'm a University of Houston guy, and no love lost for Texas at all. In fact, I've been very impressed with Washington and what Penix has done all season. This is a very even game. Let's see what we have in the numbers. And looking at the numbers, the offensive numbers were fairly even for both teams. Actually, Texas' numbers were a little bit higher than Washington, believe it or not. It seems like Washington would be the more explosive offense. But the key number we want to focus on here is the rushing defense. Texas only allows about 80 yards per game. In Washington, they were able to dominate Oregon in the Pac-12 championship by running the ball effectively. So we think that advantage over Washington's rush defense gives Texas the edge. And with that, we'll make Texas our pick with our forecast to score 35-28. We do think the teams are very even. It could be a very explosive game, but like we said, we like that rush defense. We think Texas has the momentum. We think Washington might be a little tired after that Oregon game. We like Texas here. Get off the 4 number, get it down to 3 to prevent that key number. And for the early game in the Rose Bowl, you've got Alabama against Michigan, two heavyweights again, which rounds out a great Final Four in the playoff, we believe. And we think these teams are very evenly matched. Alabama started off in a very sluggish way. Didn't look like Milroe was going to be the answer. Got taken out, at least for one game. Looking at this one, the stat that we love the most is going to be the fact that Michigan's a top 5 pass defense. We think they might be able to spy on Milroe, slow him down a little bit. Alabama's got great defense as well, but actually Michigan leads in most statistical categories. We think that's the advantage for them. Let's look at their overall defensive statistics. We actually had them underrated. They're number 2 overall total defense, and they're almost 100 yards better than the Crimson Tide, who's always known for the defense. We felt all along Michigan was like the best team in the country. They were consistently like ranked 2 or 3. We think they're better. We think they've got more offense, so we like them here, beating Alabama 31-21. So the Wolverines advanced to the national championship game. Several viewers pointed out that Alabama had a tougher schedule than Michigan. While that's true, they also lost to Texas, and if you go back and watch the Iron Bowl, they were outplayed by Auburn all game, and if not for a fumbled punt return, and then Alabama miraculously converting a 4th and goal from the 31, they would have lost that game and would not have even made this playoff. So we like Michigan here.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.